What if the greatest horror wasn't lurking in the shadows but hidden within your mind? Imagine waking up to find your sense of reality shattered, your body alien, your loved ones imposters, or even your existence itself erased. These are not just the makings of a horror story, they are the lived realities of people battling the rarest and most disturbing mental disorders ever documented. Tonight, we're taking you on a journey through 5 of these haunting conditions. Each one will challenge your perception of reality, leaving you with questions that may never be answered. So settle in, but be warned. By the time we reach number 5, you may never look at your own mind the same way again. Our journey begins with Cotard's delusion, also known as walking corpse syndrome, a disorder that sounds like it belongs in a horror novel but is all too real. Imagine being utterly convinced that you're dead, that your organs are decaying, or that you no longer exist. This isn't just a fleeting thought, it's an all-consuming belief. One of the most famous cases is that of Graham, a man from the UK who suffered from severe depression. After surviving a suicide attempt, Graham woke up convinced that his brain was dead. He refused to eat, bathe, or even speak for days, claiming, "There's no point, I'm already gone." Doctors were baffled. Brain scans revealed severely diminished activity in areas responsible for self-awareness and emotional regulation, almost as if Graham's brain was mimicking the state of being unconscious or dead. But here's the chilling part. Graham wasn't alone. In another case, a woman named Madeline believed she was a corpse and demanded to be taken to a cemetery. When her family tried to intervene, she became hysterical, screaming, "Let me rest in peace." Cotard's delusion is often linked to severe depression, psychosis, or neurological damage, but the exact cause remains a mystery. Treatments like electroconvulsive therapy and antidepressants have shown promise, but recovery is far from guaranteed. This disorder forces us to confront an existential horror. If your mind can convince you that you're dead, what else can it make you believe? But as disturbing as this is, our next disorder takes paranoia to an entirely new level, one where the people you trust most become strangers. Picture this. You come home after a long day, greet your spouse or your child, and suddenly, you feel a wave of terror. They look like your loved one, they sound like them, but deep down you're convinced they're not the same person. This is Cotard delusion, a rare and deeply unsettling condition, where emotional recognition becomes completely severed from reality. Take the case of Sarah, a 42-year-old teacher. After a traumatic car accident, Sarah began accusing her husband of being an imposter. She refused to eat meals he prepared, believing they were poisoned, and even locked herself in the bathroom to escape him. Her doctors explained that Cotard delusion often occurs due to damage in the brain's right temporal lobe and frontal cortex, areas responsible for facial recognition and emotional processing. In Sarah's case, the physical trauma of the accident disrupted the connection between recognizing her husband's face and feeling the emotional bond she once had with him. Another case involved a man who believed his entire family had been replaced by lookalikes. He became so convinced of this delusion that he abandoned his home, choosing to live in isolation rather than face what he called the imposters. Cotard delusion raises an unsettling question. If the people you love most can suddenly feel like strangers, how much of your reality can you truly trust? But if you think this disorder is chilling, our next condition distorts not just people but the entire world around you. Now imagine walking through your home and seeing everything around you shift and distort. Your hands appear enormous, the walls stretch endlessly, and time slows to an unbearable crawl. This is Alice in Wonderland syndrome, or AIWS, a neurological condition that transforms perception into a waking nightmare. One child with AIWS described seeing her parents' faces shrink to the size of dolls, while the family dog appeared as large as a horse. She was so terrified that she refused to leave her room for weeks, fearing the world outside would swallow her whole. AIWS is often linked to migraines, epilepsy, or viral infections like Epstein-Barr. The syndrome gets its name from Lewis Carroll's famous story, and some experts even speculate that Carroll himself may have experienced these distortions. For those with AIWS, the episodes are unpredictable and can last from minutes to hours. Treatments are limited, focusing on managing underlying conditions like migraines or epilepsy. This disorder challenges our understanding of reality itself. How do you navigate a world that constantly shifts beneath your feet? As unsettling as AIWs is, our next disorder explores something even darker, the urge to destroy parts of your own body. Our next disorder delves into one of the most controversial and misunderstood conditions in medical history, Body Integrity Identity Disorder, or BIID. Imagine looking at your arm or leg and feeling with absolute certainty that it doesn't belong to you. The sensation is so overwhelming that you're willing to risk everything to have it removed. Consider the case of Chloe, a woman from Canada who felt her left leg was a foreign object attached to her body. For years she begged doctors to amputate it, but no one would agree. In desperation, she froze her leg in dry ice, forcing doctors to perform the amputation. Afterward, she described feeling a profound sense of relief, saying, "I finally feel whole." BIID is believed to stem from a disconnect in the brain's body map, where the mind fails to recognize certain limbs as part of the self. But the ethical dilemma is staggering. Should surgeons perform amputations to alleviate psychological suffering, or is this a line we cannot cross? This disorder raises haunting questions about identity and autonomy. How far would you go to feel at peace with yourself? But as disturbing as BID is, it pales in comparison to our final disorder, where identity itself fractures into countless pieces. Our final disorder is both fascinating and deeply haunting. Dissociative Identity Disorder, or DID, previously known as Multiple Personality Disorder. Imagine waking up one morning as someone else, a different name, memories, and even personality. Now imagine this happening over and over again with no control over when it will happen or who you'll become. One of the most famous cases is that of Shirley Mason, also known as Sybil. Shirley reportedly had 16 distinct personalities, each with its own traits. One personality was a shy child, another a bold and confident artist, and yet another spoke a completely different language. DID is often linked to severe childhood trauma, where the mind creates alternate identities as a defense mechanism, but it raises unsettling questions. Are these identities fragments of the same person, or entirely separate beings? This disorder is a chilling reminder of the mind's power to protect itself, even at the cost of fracturing identity. It leaves us wondering, if our sense of self is so fragile, who are we really? These disorders push the boundaries of what we understand about the human mind. They terrify us but remind us of the mind's complexity and resilience. If these stories left you questioning reality, share this video with someone who loves exploring the unknown. And don't forget to subscribe for more dives into the strangest corners of existence. The mind is our greatest mystery, and sometimes our darkest horror. Stay curious. Stay inspired.